Welcome to Talk Manga Daily, or welcome back. Today we are discussing Gachiakuta Volume 5, chapters 32 through 40. This is a dense volume, and yes, Tamzy is on the cover of this volume. We're introduced to more vital instruments. We see just how dangerous Amu really is. And for the first time, Semiyu reveals what she saw inside of Rudo back in Volume 2. This is where the story takes a darker turn and lays down major threads for the long-term story. As usual, there will be spoilers. Let's just get started. The cleaners, which is Injin, Zanka, Rio, Rudo, Tamzy, and Delmon, along with some of the supporters, travel into Penta, a wasteland of disintegrated trash. They're here to meet with Amu, who supposedly saw someone cross from the ground to the sphere. At first, Amu comes across as playful, speaking about herself in the third person, but quickly her true powers surface. Her vital instrument uses scent, a fragrance that warps memory and perception. Once inhaled, people see her as someone they love, usually as a loved one or someone that the person was close to, and they turn fiercely loyal. This isn't standard hypnosis. It digs into personal memory. With Delmon, it resurrects the woman he loved. With Rudo, it pulls out Chiwa and the trauma of his fall from the sphere. And that distinction matters. Amo doesn't control her victims. She exposes them to their rawest memories and let that drive their behavior, basically. We also learn Delmon's vital instrument, which is known as Okeyunare, a gardener's hose that manipulates water content, swelling targets until they burst. Normally a nurturing power, here becomes lethal because Amu's influence directs it against its own allies. Already the volume shows us how Gachiakuta uses vital instruments not just as tools, but as reflections of personal history. Every power is born of memory and emotion. Let's take a deeper look inside of Amu's vital instrument, which is the memory fragrance. The heart of this volume lies in what Amu's ability reveals about people under it. For Delmon, his grief makes him defenseless. He sees Amu as his partner, cause, and reason to fight. His devotion is total. And when freed, his crushing line basically says it all. He says, "Then she didn't come back to life? I see." Amu's power doesn't erase reality, it manipulates longing. For Rudo, it's something far more dangerous. He sees Chiwa, but also relives the apostles' cruelty on the sphere. The so-called police who branded him as filth. Amu's fragrance forces him into a conflict between memory of betrayal and happiness. That contradiction breaks something open inside of him. When the illusion shatters, Rudo doesn't return to normal. He snaps. He beats Amu down in a fit of rage that horrifies even his allies. And this is where Semiyu's earlier words return. What she saw in Rudo back in Volume 2, Volume 3-ish, wasn't just potential. She saw a curse growing inside of him. Let's take a look at Tamzy as part of this volume. So, with their team being compromised and some of its members or cleaners under Amu's vital instrument, it's Tamzy who gets an opportunity to step up. His vital instrument, known as Tokushin, is a distaff, a weaver's tool that spools thread into rope. He uses it to bind allies in this particular case because he had to get the ones that were under Amu's memory fragrance under control. And he was able to bind Amu-Elect, netting them midair and preventing further damage. It's not just a flashy ability. Tamzy explains that memories of loved ones aren't always happy. This foreshadows Rudo's break and also suggests that Tamzy himself carries painful memories. He shows us that the fragrance doesn't create illusion, it amplifies what's already inside of a person. We also learn about Rimlin's protective spell because Tamzy did have to pull out his vital instrument, Tokushin, and use it on his cleaners, his fellow cleaners. The cleaners was able to survive the blow that happened when Tamzy used his vital instrument. This explains why Injin, seemingly incapacitated, was able to pretend to be injured and time his counterattack against Amu. What is this curse inside of Rudo? here's the turning point. Semiyu tells the boss what she saw inside of Rudo back in volume 2. She basically says it's something that might destroy the world, something like a curse. Is it something like a curse or an actual curse? We'll just have to trust her words from the dialogue. But in that same moment, we see Rudo beating Amu savagely. And yeah, it's the most violent he's ever been, moving from combat into outright violence. Thematically, this is just Rudo briefly regressing on the sphere. He endured abuse quietly in the pit. He just temporarily explodes with anger at this moment. But both are survival modes, not growth. He admits it to himself. He says, I thought I had grown up, but I'm still a turd-faced brat. And here's where Engine shines in this moment. He doesn't scold. He just relates to Rudo. He admits he's had his own flaws, his utter unfiltered taste in women, and his inability to hide parts of himself. He explains that recognizing flaws is the first step to growth. Yay, Engine, good leadership. Where Rudo believes he's failed, Engine kind of reframes it. He's basically said, you figured this out for yourself, and that's what matters. This isn't just a pep talk. It's Engine modeling adulthood to Rudo, teaching him that flaws don't vanish, and they're acknowledged, they're managed, and you grow past those flaws. Engine did a really great job with mentoring Rudo in this moment and giving him some growth tips, acknowledging that he's assessing himself and correcting himself at the same time. The next piece of information we'd like to tackle in Volume 5 is Amu's backstory. So I initially wasn't sure if I wanted to include this in this volume's recap or discussion or walkthrough, but let's talk a little bit about Amu's backstory. And her backstory is tragic. Sold by her mother, raised by a trafficker who convinced her she was loved, not owned. The boots she wears have a Watchman logo, which is equally linked to her pain to the Watchman mystery. Obsession with romance and being adored stems from this twisted past, making her both a survivor and a victim. She also confirms something critically. She did see an angel cross between the sphere and the ground, or what she actually saw was so-called angels. 2 of them went up and then 1 came down. That one line pulls the border crossing lore directly into the main plot. The apostles above, the angelic figures between realms, and the Watchmen artifacts all converge here. What that means is that we will all have to stay tuned to see how things continue to evolve, how the plot continues to evolve in this story to include all the spectacle. What does Volume 5 add to Gachiakuta's ongoing story? The Watchmen series expands through Amu's boots, deepening the mystery of Rudo's gloves, the Raiders' boss's jacket, and Recto's journal. Most importantly, Rudo's curse, the potential violence that's inside of him is no longer hidden. The boss knows about it. Semiyu explained it. So we saw momentarily in this arc where it was on display where Rudo could lose control. From Volume 1 to Volume 5, we've seen the pattern. We've seen a few patterns. Every arc widens the world. While drilling deeper into the trauma, trash becomes power, power becomes personality, and personality becomes the battlefield. Volume 5 proves that what's inside of Rudo is just as dangerous as anything that's outside of him. I say we shouldn't worry until we see anything unfolds that tells us otherwise. That's it for Gachiakuta Volume 5. Let's talk in the comments. If you're enjoying these deep dives, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you don't miss any forthcoming walkthroughs on manga that we have. As usual, keep reading, keep thinking, and talk manga daily with us. Thanks for watching.